with the statement that the HPCC Claims Center will only be processing economic damages, does acceptance of an offer preclude or require the claimant to waive rights to future pursuit of non-economic damages?
So at the very end of the process is when you have the final offer from the claims office. That's when you will make the determination to accept the full offer from the claims office or to go another route.
So, with respect to your...
Just 1 second, if you could please state your name and then your question.
Name's Mark. Okay, so with respect to the proof of loss extension deadline, you said you would grant that for good cause. What is good cause?
You requested and needed.
So, anything?
So I'm going to apply good cause extensions very liberally. Again, the timelines were not put in place to be a burden to you. They were a burden for us to get you compensation as soon as possible. So if you need that time to continue to put claims documentation together, if there are additional losses that you feel like may come forward, those are the things we want to be able to work with you on and not put you in a position that you can't get all of the compensation that you're eligible for.
Okay, we have a question right up here up front. Your name, please.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mike Messina. I have a couple of questions and also a comment, if I may. Sure. When do you think the regulations are going to be final?
Good question. Rulemaking in the federal government is hard, and it's lengthy. We have adjudicated just about all of the comments at this point in time. The process is it needs to go all the way up through our FEMA administrator, needs to go to the Department of Homeland Security. They need to prioritize the rule along with all the other rules in the Department of Homeland Security. Then it goes to the Office of Management and Budget, and they need to prioritize it across all of the rules in the federal government. We are working with those partners as much as we can to expedite that process, but it is what it is. And so that is why the majority of the comments that have been received on the rule can be addressed within the framework of the rule that we have now. We're just going to be in a position to offer you potentially more compensation, not less. And so we're going to implement this through interim policy.
Do you have any guess as to when that extended process might get done?
I wish that I did. Just because so much of it is out of our control, we're going to try to influence it, but we don't have a time frame.
I wanted to ask you, what methodology do you use to determine the value of trees that have been lost?
So we are going through a process right now to look at the valuation across a number of the range of losses. So that process is underway and has not fully been determined. One of the things that we're doing as we're basically phasing our program. We're making key policy decisions every couple of months as we're building out the program, and then we'll be able to work with you on those losses. This is one that's coming up very soon, and we're going to be doing some focus groups and some other public engagements on this issue of trees because it's so important to you to be able to get some input to help inform that process.
And then I want to, with due respect, make a comment, if I may.
Certainly.
Are you an attorney by any chance?
I am not an attorney.
Yeah. There were a couple of times that you made comments about the law or recommendations, and I don't think that's appropriate. I think you should urge people, if they have questions about those things, to seek their own counsel to get independent input on that.
Well, my job is to make sure that we are interpreting the law in the way that we're implementing the program. So I have some very experienced attorneys that are here in the back of the room that have been advising me on that as I go. And certainly you should use an attorney to, if you would like to to advise your part of the process. But when I'm speaking to here, that's how we have done our legal analysis in terms of how we're interpreting the law for implementation of the program.
Well, I am an attorney, and with due respect, I think there were a couple of comments made that I wouldn't necessarily agree with.
We're happy
I'm sure you're
to.
acting in good faith. I'm not questioning that.
We're happy to have a follow-up conversation with you, sir, after the meeting to make sure that we're clear. Thank you.
So I think I have a question here.
You got it covered.
Oh, we'll come back.
There's a
Hi,
mic.
my name is Caroline Rackley. I want to know the helpline number, please.
Let's go back to the slide that has the helpline number on it. There it is. At the very bottom of the slide, it's 505-995-7133. And again, the hours are Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes, my name is Dave Sanchez. Just curious, you mentioned the recovery in Cleveland, the Cleveland Center. Where in Cleveland are we specifically talking about?
So let's turn to Jennifer. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure, so the building we're referring to is right on the border of where Mora and Cleveland meet. For those of you that have been here for a while, it used to be the co-op grocery store, the building there in the back. Yeah, New Mexico Help is there, and we did coordinate with them, so we will be there from 10 to 2 tomorrow, next Wednesday. And as Angie mentioned, we're also going to have some upcoming focus groups throughout all the communities to solicit public feedback.
Better known as the old clinic.
The old clinic, the old clinic.
Go back here now.
Hello, my name is Marion Shooter, and when you spoke of flood insurance being available for 2 years, we're hearing that we could have problems with floods for 3 to 5 years.
Yes, ma'am. We very much heard that concern during the public comment period. The limitation that we're currently working with is the law says that we can pay premiums through the end of May of 2024. So our priority right now is that we are working on getting you a first-year policy paid and in place, given the risk of flooding more immediately. And we are working and exploring options for what might be in place to meet the longer-term need within the confines of the law. So we're exploring it. I just don't have an answer for you yet.
I just would like a clarification. My name is Phyllis Martinez. You said direct compensation, not reimbursement, right?
That is correct. This is a compensation program, so it's very similar to an insurance claim process where we determine the amount of compensation due to you and we provide you payment for that compensation.
Okay, and one more thing. On the slide that said non-economic damages, in the bottom it says going directly to the courts will most likely be a lengthy process. You will also be unable to pursue important risk reduction and flood insurance opportunities that are available through the claims office. That doesn't pertain to people who have seen an attorney already, does it?
So the flood insurance and the risk reduction are available only through the claims office and the claims process. So the point there was if you decide to go directly to court, those benefits are not available through traditional court.
Over here, please.
Just a real quick question. You made mention, Ms. Gladwell, of legal advisors that you're using. Could we have their names and contact information?
Sure, they're here in the room.
Right, but there's a lot of people here in this room. Could you provide us their names and contact information?
So yeah, we'll follow up with you on what we can provide in terms of our legal expertise. Thank you.
My name is Micah Keza. Two questions. How soon after final determination and acceptance will payments be received?
Very quickly. I mean, the process is pretty simple. So basically, you sign the release and certification. We provide you the letter of the determination of the amount. You have 120 days to accept it or decide you want to take another path. Once you accept it, you sign a release and certification form, and then we release payment. And it's a very quick process. I could give you a lot of accurate information if we had processed partial payments, but we have not. But I don't. We did process a payment to the city of Las Vegas to start some of their work on their water facilities, and the process went very smoothly.
Okay. One more question is about costs not yet incurred. You had mentioned it earlier. Are you guys going to prepay that? Like if we get estimates for things and include them on our loss?
It's a very good question. So we are, as I mentioned, we're phasing the implementation of our program and policies. Our first phase of the partial payments are looking at those more straightforward costs that have already been incurred. Our next phase and what we're focused on right now is building out an advanced partial payment. And so basically think about this. I can use the example of hay. If you are a rancher and you know that you need hay for your cattle, you don't know exactly how long you're going to need it, but you know that, let's say you need it for at least a year, then we can go ahead and provide a partial payment to you. Well, then we're working out the details with you on what a costing methodology would be for your full need as you build out into the future. So the short answer is yes.
I have a question. My name is John Mascarenas. I'm here from Cleveland, New Mexico. Has any of the agencies started to check on the floods that are coming, that came this summer, but the runoffs in the spring and then the monsoons in the summer? Has any of the agencies did anything along that line to prevent it?
I don't think I'm in a position to talk on behalf of all of the agencies. If any other agencies in the room want to speak up, they certainly can. I can say, and we've also got some other folks from FEMA here as well, that we are very much concerned, like you are, about future flooding. I know that we're looking, again, that's why we're prioritizing things like flood insurance. We're looking at mitigation options that we can fund under this program to help you reduce future risk. We know that this is going to be an ongoing issue, but I would like to just say, is there anyone else in the room from another federal agency that would like to speak? Oh, Allie, behind me. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, Angie. Hi, good evening, guys. My name is Allie Rye. I'm the Deputy Cabinet Secretary for Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management here in the state of New Mexico. And I'm so sorry, I just said that really fast for the interpreter. You can do it. Okay, thank you. So sorry to address your question. The point of my agency is to be able to coordinate resources, be able to interact with the emergency managers that are in every county to make sure that they are prepared and that they have what they need. So that, to kind of elaborate a little bit more, we are just as concerned as you are. I coordinate frequently not only with the Gov's office, but also multiple other state agencies, and we've been doing that for a couple of weeks now. I will tell you that we strategically have items placed throughout the state to be able to prepare, so that way when things do occur, we can go ahead and start shipping items into the county to help you guys. We're doing planning efforts with your emergency managers, so that way they're getting direct information from National Weather Service. They know what is coming down. We're monitoring the gauges religiously, daily, in and out, to make sure that we're ahead of the spikes before they do actually occur. We've purchased a ton of sandbags that we're currently already filling.
That's all after the fact, though. Are you going to do anything now before the runoffs come? You know, clean the not the second, but the rivers, and maybe put trenches along the roads?
So unfortunately, sir, my position is I can't come in until a disaster actually occurs. But what it does mean, hang on, I know that is not what you wanted to hear. But what it does mean is that I am preparing your emergency managers so that way they do have those resources. So they can call my office and say, hey, listen, this is what we think we need. We coordinate with the appropriate agency, whether it's United States Army Corps of Engineers, whether it's DOT, so that way we can get out there, get those technical assessments completed, so that way we know exactly where to put those HESCO bags, where to put those sandbags, so that way we're making sure that they are protected, that these areas are protected. We've already got a technical assessment that's coming up pretty soon to start cleaning out the gabion baskets that were placed last year in the end of the monsoon flooding. So there are many things that are occurring. It's all kind of a domino effect. We can't do one thing without impacting something else. So we're making sure that we're not putting a sandbag in a place that it's going to affect a resident further on down the stream. Do you have any other questions that I can answer? I actually present next, so if you guys can hang on for just a few minutes, I promise I'm going to give you all a lot more information.
We'll go over here.
Thank you. My name is Conrad Cooper. I have a statement, which was, my family and I feel strongly that money spent on cleaning up the damage to our property from fire and flooding should not be deducted from our loss of property value settlement. So to phrase that as a question, if we get money from the Emergency Forest Restoration Program through the FSA, say they give us $500,000, and we come to you guys for our settlement and go, oh, we already gave you $500,000, so we're going to deduct that. Are you going to deduct monies that FSA and other organizations are giving us? Or are you going to deduct that from our loss of property value?
I think that the details of this matter, it's not going to affect your loss of property value, but when you're looking at what the other agencies are doing, that's when we have to get into the details with the claims reviewer and the navigator to look at what is something that is going to be a duplication for the loss we'd be compensating for and what is not. And so I can't generally answer your question, but again, we can be available afterwards and we can maybe talk through a couple examples and we can bring our team in to make sure we can answer your question.
Sure, but just for one follow-up, just for example, okay, our place, we have 220 acres, 175 acres of that get burned to sticks, right? So the EFRP comes in and cuts down all the burned trees and our road has washed out. We've already spent $16,000 on that. They come in and say, hey, we're gonna cover those costs of cutting down the trees, mastication, all this stuff, and then we come to you and say, hey, we still have loss of property value. The fact that they came in and cleaned up the flooding and cleaned up the dead trees doesn't mean, hey, we're good on that, right? Those are two different things as far as we're concerned. One thing is cleaning up the damage done. The other piece is our loss of property value. And I just want to make sure that you're not going to credit cleaning up the damage against our loss of property settlements.
Those are two different things. I am going to just open it up if anybody on my team wants to add anything else, but they're two different things.
Okay, great.
Okay, there's another question in the back.
Hi, my name is Mariano. My question is about the partial payments that you're going to be making for expenses that are coming up. Part of the loss of claims that we'll be making is probably the amount of trees and lumber that we've lost. And so in order to do that and do it accurately, we would need surveys to show what was there before and after. Is that part of that partial payments that you guys are going to be making?
Potentially. I would definitely start having that conversation with the claims. So we can provide assistance through our office for surveys, assessments, appraisals. We want to be able to tee this up in a way that gives you as many choices as possible. If you want to get your own person to do that work, you are more than happy to do that. We can pay for that. If you want us to help tap into experts to do that, we can also do that. But those are the types of things that we can do as we start to help you prepare your claim. And so that's different than a partial payment. A payment is a payment for an actual loss that you had. That's, from what I understand, is preparation for the claim.
Yeah, see, the issue is that a lot of us don't have even the $16,000 to repair our roads like some of our richer neighbors have. Much less to pay for surveyors. That's my point there.
Well, absolutely, sir, and that's what I'm saying. We can pay for those types of things to occur to help you in preparation of your claim.
So
just before the next question, I'd like, if anybody still has a question that you'd like to ask of Angie, can you just please raise your hand? I just want to get a sense of about how many we have. Okay, I think we can get through those 4 or so questions. So I think we're going to go back here.
Is it good? Okay. So with respect to proof of loss, what to your agency is going to constitute adequate documentation of that loss? Because there's going to be some complicated types of, you know.
The type of loss matters in the answer to that question. So that's what our team is working through now. Our claims reviewers are working through all of the details about how those different losses are going to be valued. And again, that's part of what we're going to be having these focus group meetings and other things on to be able to get input. So I just want to be upfront and clear about one thing. So I had a choice to make as I'm building out this program at the beginning of October. I could build it out from beginning to end with all of the details, and then we could roll it out to you. That would probably mean we'd not be engaging with you on this program for at least till the end of the year. I made a different decision. I made a decision to prioritize starting to get the claims process rolling, starting to work with you, starting to learn about the specifics of your losses, and to implement this program in phases. I did it so that we could get you some compensation and some parts of your losses as soon as possible. What that means is that the process isn't fully built. It's not perfect at this time, and we don't have all the answers. We're developing these pieces in phases, and we're going to be getting some input along the way. And I committed to you back when I talked to you at the public comment period is that you might not like all the decisions that I make, but my commitment to you is I'm going to tell you why I made them. And so that's kind of where we are and why we've made the choices that we have so far and why you don't have all the answers at this point. But as we get more information, we're going to continue to come back to you and tell you what we have and what's next.
Back here.
Thank you. My name is Chris Bowman. My question is, if you have 180 days to make an award, how are you going to do that without a final rule?
So I'm going to be optimistic and hopeful that we can get to a final rule by that time. And if that's not the case, then again, we can decide at that point what we want to do, whether you want to grant an extension until you have that, if you want to be able to close the claim and we'll reopen it once we have the final rule. There's some choices to be made there.
Was there a question in here?
I want to address Mr. Mascareñas' concern. You've got all these programs. Don't you have a program for prevention when we know that we're going to get flooded out?
We know it.
So I can talk about the claims office. There are other FEMA programs that are focused on mitigation. And I know that is a big focus of the states-run long-term recovery program. But if you want to talk about it in a moment, certainly do. But in the claims process, we are able to fund risk reduction actions, and that is a priority for us. So for you as individual claimants, if you come to us and have a claim, that's something we're going to talk to you about. We'll have a menu of things that will be pretty easy things that you can decide you want to do. We can have other conversations about other types of risk reduction if there's other types of risk reduction you want to undertake. And because most non-federal entities can submit notices of loss under our program, we can also fund community-level mitigation and other types of risk reduction as well.
After we get flooded out. We saw sandbags do not help. We saw K-rails running down the street.
we had K-rails in people's yards.
Start the claims process with us now. Let's have that conversation.
Well, I mean, with all these programs, can't anybody come up with a prevention?
Start the claims process with us now. Let us start that conversation with you. Ally, is there anything you want to say about?
So I can address that. Okay, so I'm Jeremy Class. I'm with DHSEM. I work under Ally and Secretary Dye. So at the state right now, currently in this disaster, we are working on a watershed line of effort. We are actually looking at scopes of work, and then we're doing that with our federal partners. That's the USDA, NRCS, the Forest Service, and they're helping us to stand up an actual incident command team where they can bring resources that we can address that. Okay, and then also they've got programs that are already in place, like the Emergency Watershed Protection Program that the NRCS is instituting to try and do long-term sort of preventative mitigation measures for these areas. The problem is with a 350,000 square mile, is it? Acres, sorry, yeah, acres, right? It's hard to get, and it's very spatially variable. So we're working on mapping and identifying areas where we have addressed those. We've talked about and implementing and actually looking at projects to actually deal with some of that flooding and ongoing debris flow and what we're actually trying to do. We're getting money to put gauges out there so that we are currently monitoring, so we have a better idea about where those flows and those debris flows are actually going to occur and happen. We're working, and Ally had said there are some limitations to what we do and how we can respond to disasters by law. But we are standing up and getting all of the necessary needs to be able to address those things through this identification of the watershed line of effort. And that is coming through our federal partners. And so it is a proactive sort of instrumentation on addressing these upcoming flows and what we're actually going to see.
When are you going to start working on it?
After the flood.
I mean, you know what, we got these agencies from out of town. We've got ranchers, farmers here who know how to do it. They're the ones that said K-rails aren't gonna work. Sandbags aren't gonna hold that water. And we are seeing now the rivers and the acequias are coming up. You know what? We're not talking a month. Those things are gonna come up in the next few weeks. Yep. We need prevention. We've got grants, we've got all these people here saying we've got this program, we've got that program. Prevention. Help us to stop it before it occurs. That would save a lot of money.
What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to do my job, which is to actually move on to our next speaker. Okay, one last question on this topic.
Good evening. Okay, my name is Carlos Ariano, County Clerk, Mora, New Mexico. Okay, so you want us to open a claim and we don't know yet what the ruling is on the claim. So when the fire came, it burned us out, and then soon after the fire came the flooding. So if you're gonna pay us partial, why don't you pay us all the damages that are owed for the fire, and then the second payment be for the flooding?
So as I was just talking about, we were building out the program in phases. So
That's the way it happened though, to us.
I understand. I guess the reality is we're building a new program is some of the issues are much more complex than others. And so we're trying to build a program and get money flowing while at the same time working through those complex issues. I also know that you as the public want to have some input on those as we're landing them, and so that also takes a little bit of time. So that's the why we did it the way that we did. And I know that, again, it's not perfect, but that's kind of how we are rolling out with the program.
If I may, if there are additional questions around this topic, I would encourage folks, this last topic that we've had, I think that there'll be opportunities right after the meeting to engage with the state and to other folks to just dig a little bit deeper. But I think it's a really important topic, so thank you.
Can I just say that the claims office team will be here afterwards, so if there are follow-up questions, we're more than happy to stay as long as we need to answer your questions.
Okay, with that, we're doing pretty well on time. Again, thank you, everybody. So with that, I'm actually going to introduce Secretary David Dye, the State Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management, or of the State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I won't make you repeat that title, but I am the Cabinet Secretary for the Governor, and I wanted to come up here for two reasons. One is to show you that the state is involved. That's why we have Allie, who's one of my deputy secretaries. We've got Jeremy, we've got Ashley. We have our state team that's here, and we're that bridge between the local community and the feds. So Angie, thank you so much for all that great information. Really appreciate that. And the emergency management piece within our organization is what is going to hold FEMA accountable for that, for all the work that they're going to do. They're our partner in this, but we're also going to hold them accountable for that. The other thing I wanted to relay is that if the governor were here, she would say that we are here with you. We're not going to leave you. We're not going to forget about Mora and San Miguel and all the places that need the help. We're here to do just that, which is to help you in the best way that we can. I know that we got into some topics above and beyond Hermes Peak Calf Canyon claims, and I would very much like to hear what you have to say afterwards when you come and talk to our team. So without further ado, and not to waste any more time, I'd like to introduce again Allie Rye, who's going to go over our New Mexico Disaster Case Management Program. Thank you very much. Allie?
Thank you, Secretary. So I'm going to start off by asking for my staff to go ahead and join me at the front of the room real quick. While they are doing that, I'm going to make it easy on you, and I'm going to pass out cards so that way you guys have phone numbers already written down. I do know that the stack is probably not enough, so the staff brought a little bit more. So if we run out, just let us know and we'll start passing out that way too. So we can go ahead and jump over to the new slide. So, and I apologize, I'm standing in front of my staff. Thank you. Okay, so the ladies that you do see, thank you. So the ladies that you do see up here are going to be the ones that are helping you guys through what we are calling disaster case management. I wanted you guys to be able to put a face to a name. Some of these ladies up here you may have already met through the process. Some of these ladies are even locals, and we are very thankful that they've been able to join us and be a part of our team. So thank you, ladies. So let me start off by saying you guys have heard a ton of programs tonight. You guys have been offered a ton of programs since the very beginning. We know that navigating all of these programs, all of these different agencies, they're very burdensome on you. I think, gosh, probably the very first public town hall that we have, one of the comments was made was, why don't we do one application and it applies to all of the programs? So I'm here to tell you that the disaster case management program is kind of that fix. So that way you guys can do one application and be able to have assistance to apply to all of these programs. Next slide, please. So, you guys heard just a small portion of the programs that are eligible today. We are very much aware of about 30 programs, both local, state, and federal, that can be here to be able to support you guys. So our job is not for you guys to know every program, but for us to know every program. Next slide, please. So, like I said, case management, we're that single point. We are the contact to help you find, apply, maybe be aware of a resource that you weren't aware of. We're here to help you, be able to find stuff not only from the local areas, the state areas, and also all of your federal partners. One thing I do want to say up front, we are a free program. We're a free state program that we have recently been instituted thanks to a little bit of grant funding. We're able to provide you these services at no charge to you guys. Next slide, please. So where do we work? The grant is a little bit stringent on where we are allowed to work. It did come through thanks to the disaster that we had, so that way we can be able to provide state members to support you guys. So we're available in Mora, San Miguel, Colfax, Valencia, and Lincoln. I will tell you though that we are heavily focused on providing Mora and San Miguel the services that they most definitely need. Next slide, please. So I mentioned it already, but I do want to say that every member of my team is a local. Every member is from New Mexico. They are even from northern New Mexico. They understand New Mexico. They understand our culture. They understand where we come from. They understand that, sometimes the state of New Mexico does not fit into that, round peg. We are very much a very square box that's trying to fit into that round peg, and it's not fair. It is not fair that these federal programs are very much designed for large communities with a ton of infrastructure, a ton of resources, and unfortunately New Mexico does not fit that box. Many of our members are bilingual, so you do not have to worry about being coordinated with someone who cannot communicate properly with you. You guys will be assigned one person, so the phone number that you have does not go to an automated voicemail, does not go to where you have to click 100 billion times just to get to a person. It's going to actually be answered by one of the ladies that are standing behind me. They are going to assign you to one case manager. You're not going to be passed around. You're not going to get to have to talk to 100 different people. You have that point of contact, someone that you feel comfortable with, and someone that you can always pick up the phone and call. I think the biggest thing that many of you guys have said to us is you really want someone to hear your story. So these folks aren't going to get you on the phone and rush you off. They're not going to sit there and tell you, yeah, I've heard this before, I know what's going on. They're going to sit there and listen to you so that way they know exactly every single resource that you guys quite possibly need. Thank you. So how do you sign up? So there's a couple of different ways. First of all is the cards that were passed around go directly to the girls. The next one is we do have a table out here so that way you guys can come out after this meeting, whether you choose to sign up today or take information on how disaster case management works. We're here to support you guys. This is not going to be a short-term effort. This is something that is going to be long-term. We are very much designed to go hand in hand with the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Claims Office. You can also email us, and you will also start seeing our faces at all of the events that are coming up. So let's just say you don't choose to sign up today, there's going to be many other efforts. I do also want to tell you guys, we're not choosing to have an office for multiple reasons. But one of which being is we want to meet with you guys on your time and your convenience that helps you guys. So whether that means coming out to your house so that way we can actually see your damages, or maybe you don't feel comfortable with that the first time around and you want to meet at a local coffee shop. The girls here are here to support you. We're not going to make you drive down to Santa Fe. We're not going to make you drive to Albuquerque. We're here to meet your needs. Go back. Thank you. All right, so at the time you sign up is when you'll be assigned a disaster case manager to support your full recovery process from start to finish. Your case manager is here to listen to your story and identify those programs that we talked about. So that way you're not coming in and saying, hey, I mean, you could, don't get me wrong. You can come in and say, hey, I want to apply for this program, this program. But the girls could also be like, all right, that's awesome, but we also think that this program meets your needs, or you're eligible for this program, or like, Simone and our programs listed earlier. These girls know the ins and outs, and they know the requirements that you were talking about. What's the threshold? What's the age gap? Your case manager is going to be there to collect all your information. So let's say you don't have a computer, or you don't have an email, or you don't have a scanner. These folks, they're ready to rock and roll. We actually just bought scanners, so they immediately sit in your house with you. They can take all your documentation, they'll scan it, they'll email it to Angie and her staff, so that way it's not something that's a burdensome process on you again. You don't have email, you don't have a cell phone, so that way you can't apply online. You don't have internet, that's totally fine. That's what these girls are here to help you with. Next slide. So after you apply, we'll continue to advocate for your applications. So we're not here just to submit your applications. It gets stuck in a long queue and, maybe you'll hear from us again in 6 months. No, they're here to make sure that you guys get immediate needs, get heard first, and get taken care of. I will tell you that these ladies behind me, one of the reasons that you heard USDA talk about the, and I'm so sorry, I just went blank, the Rural Development, thank you, the Rural Development Housing Program. She talked about how a lot of those requirements were waived is because mine and my staff wrote a letter to USDA and specifically asked, hey, this program doesn't meet Mora and San Miguel County's needs. We have a lot of applicants up here who are, who are a little bit younger and they need just as much support as just of our elderly community. We need to make sure that we're being all-inclusive and we're providing equity across the board. So we work with you to also resolve any needs. So let's say that you hit a roadblock or someone reaches out to you and asks a question, you just don't really know how to answer that question. Please lean on us. We want to be your best friend. We want to be your cheerleader. We want to be able to make sure that you guys do actually get made whole. So we'll communicate your needs that are not being met by the programs and try to find a program that can fit those needs or ask those programs to fit your needs. We'll work with you to continue planning your recovery and establish resiliency. So that's a lot of what these case managers are talking about. So when you sign up, and then this is not perfect and does not answer all of your questions, but they'll come out and visit your house. They'll recommend maybe a better program for your home in order to keep it protected from the floodwaters. Next slide, please. So one of the big things too is working hand in hand with the case managers and the navigators. So Angie talked quite a bit about her program, and her navigators are fantastic people. But her navigators are here to work on the claims office program. They're here to answer those questions and help you guys navigate through that program. My folks are here to help you for all the other programs, but also still be an advocate to work side by side with that navigator to make sure that you guys are getting everything that you need. We really want to be able to personalize compassion to you guys. And we don't feel like that's something that you can get if you constantly get passed around, very similar to how you were treated for the individual assistance program that was first brought out. So with that, we're making sure that our case managers are working and have been since the day one, working hand in hand with these navigators. So that way our case managers know the programs the navigators are implementing. They know the policies, they know the procedures. So that way they can help answer the questions just as much as the navigators can as well. Next one. So your disaster case manager and claims office navigator are your recovery team. They're the ones that are here to be able to make sure that you get everything that you need. One of the things that Angie talked about is how you have multiple different options, and that's what these folks are here to do. They're not here to tell you, this is it, this is all that you get, sorry about you, and walk away. They're here to tell you that, let's go ahead and sign up for these programs, see what comes out of it. If you're not getting everything that you need, you're not getting all your needs met, either we find a different program, or we go back to Angie and her staff and explain to her why we need more money, why we need to be able to apply for this, why this documentation matters. So our goal is to constantly support you guys day and night, all the time. Next slide. All right. So I know that was really quick. I know you guys have been here a while, so I wanted to not take up too much more of your evening. So I will take questions.
Hello, Hi, my name is Caroline, live in Rosiata. Is this program available for communities?
As in like the whole city, or maybe elaborate a little bit more?
Like the village of Panray.
So are you wanting to apply as
an association, like a HOA?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Dave Sanchez, and I reside in Holman. There's a lot of people around here that are from Holman, Chacon, whatever, northern New Mexico. Going back to your question and your leadership, we've always, I personally, my home is right in front of 518. My question is, I have been fighting with the state road department.
Okay?
Right now, those people going north or going south, right in front of my house, I've got mud right now.
Okay.
In the last 2 days, we've had a sprinkle of rain or moisture. We had a contractor through FEMA, an out-of-stater, came in there and made a big trench out of my little sequoia, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
And every time it sprinkles or light rain, if these gentlemen brought up the question about 518, I guarantee you, once we get a short rain or what have you, we're going to have mud and water on 518. If you notice right now, people traveling that road, there's the state highway department just put a sign there, watch for water. And right now, since last year when we got flooded, we got one vehicle that got involved in an accident.
Yes, sir.
He hit a signpost, and what damage he did, I don't know. But we're already starting to get that problem.
Our house, I'll tell you.
Well,
real quick, like, okay, we live on 518. We got flooded. We had about 6 rivers passing through our yard.
That's true.
Okay, they came in, they put barriers all around, even where the flood didn't come down. Our yard was just ignored. You know, it's like, okay, you got the plague, we avoid you. And it's very frustrating. We can't come over here to this, you know, meetings and stuff and beg. We're tired already. We're seniors and we cannot just look at our yard with boulders that are higher than our, I don't know what you could say, two fences?
Yes, ma'am. How about we connect whenever we get done? I would love to know what your address is.
Sure.
Okay.
My name is Andrew Romero, and we had to My name is Andrew Romero, and I was discussing that we had to evacuate out of here. And when I evacuated, my 2 other brothers evacuated. They didn't monitor the COVID in Peñasco, and me and my brothers got the COVID. And one of my brothers almost passed away. So do you got compensation for that?
So the claims office can compensate for medical costs associated with the fire, mental health costs associated with the fire. And so, you know, we can talk about the specifics of the claim and the circumstance. The issue for us is we're gonna then have to have the direct cause as a result of the fire or subsequent impacts that this is what occurred. So we can have those conversations.
What about ongoing medical as mental?
Yes, we can have the conversations. We know that these are not one and done issues, that they're losses that continue on for some time. So again, let's have those conversations.
If I may just ask, just for a quick show of hands again, we're coming up to our time. For about how many other folks have questions? So 1 here, 2? Okay.
So I'm confused. Where does the claim start? With you or with you or with Jennifer? Where does it start?
The compensation program, the claims process itself starts with me, with filling out a notice of loss. Yes, but so what happens, so let's just talk about this for a minute. If you come in first through a notice of loss and your navigator contacts you, Your navigator is going to tell you about the disaster case management program and is going to talk to you about that and determine whether that's something that you want to do. And if you do, then we're going to connect with Allie's team, and she's going to assign you a case manager. And the navigator and the case manager are going to work with you together through that process to address the claim and then other unmet needs. There's also the potential that you get a case manager first, and let Allie talk to that.
So how that's going to work is, let's say tonight you choose to sign up with us because you're just maybe not ready to sign out a notice of loss. Our program is here to tell you about all the programs. So not just the claims office, not just my programs, but all the programs that are available to you. So what we're going to do is exactly what Angie is going to do on her side, and we're going to say, listen, here's the opportunity for you to sign up for a notice of loss. This is what this means. This is what this program is outlined for. We're going to give you that option of whether you want to. I'm not going to force a program on you.
And what if you have an attorney?
You can still interact with me and we can still have a conversation. One of the programs that we are talking about bringing in through the AG's office is a no cost, here. What is it again?
So in terms of, you do, even if you have a lawyer, you can still work with the case management program. That's not a problem for us. We are also coordinating with the Attorney General's office and other legal aid programs to coordinate resources with legal aid should you not have an attorney or should you want support, because we don't provide legal advice. We're not attorneys, but we can still work with you even if you do have an attorney. At no cost? At no cost. No cost for our program at all.
Thank you, Ashley.
So
did that answer your question?
So if we file a claim with her office, we don't have to file another claim with you?
No, ma'am. It goes back and forth. So, do what? I'm sorry. Symbiotic, yes ma'am. So one of the things too is, even on her notice of loss, there is an option for you to be able to check a box, provide a field that says you are willing to start the process with us. So it doesn't matter which route you go, you still are going to be offered the exact same programs. There's no penalties either way. It is your choice.
So I wanted to ask a real question. Exactly, that's what's going on with me in my office. Okay, I'm getting these questions, and you always got to go back to, we were forced to leave this community, and a lot of these things that happened to Andrew would have never happened if they went to shut off the power, shut off our water, and made us leave. So what we're talking about, these are the real questions that nobody's addressing.
No, they're not addressing the pressure. There was mandatory. We had to live. So we didn't know there was another facility had the COVID. And I got the COVID and my two other brothers got it. My brother, he was in intensive care for 3 months. Who pays for that?
So I don't know. I know that Angie had mentioned that is something that she is willing to look at underneath her program, and if you come to us, we will be willing to find other programs that could potentially pay for that as well. I do not know anything immediately off the top of my head, but like I said, we have a long list of resources.
I had the same.
We're going to come up here. I think we have.
I had the same confusion, but they already explained.
I just, my name is no, I don't want to talk into that. They can hear me here. My name is Roxanne Grego, and I live in Tromperos. On either side that we live on, we flood. And today one of the commissioners asked me if I could go and get some of the people to come to this meeting, and people are just, no. They want nothing to do with FEMA, with even the government. And I'm just somebody that got asked, and I said, sure, because I live on that road and I care about the people. I don't see a lot of people from Olupita, and you know what? They refused to leave. A lot of people for the fire did not leave, including my son. And he took care of a lot of houses there. But that place seems to be forgotten as well. But I don't know what, I mean, are you guys gonna come and get us in helicopters and take us to where we're safer? I mean, we got the ditch, we've got both sides of our road floods. I mean, I'm just, real quick question, what do we do in that then?
So what I would like to do is connect with you after this, so that way I can know what area that is. It helps me out a whole bunch whenever I'm back in my office and I know what's going on. I would really love to know where you live. Thank you. Oh, hello.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you very much again for your time. These interactions, your comments, your questions, they're helping us shape this new program, and we really appreciate it very, very much. And we're going to continue to have these engagements as we move forward with different parts of our program. So with that, as I mentioned, our team is here. We'll stay as long as we need to answer one-on-one questions that you have. Make sure you connect. Our navigators are at the end of the hall down here, and they can start working with you. Again, they've got notices of loss. If you'd like to submit one, anything that they can do to answer questions as well, they're available to you. And with that, good evening to you all. Thank you all very much.